Canada's Transportation Safety Board is playing a special role in the investigation. TSB investigators will be advising their Iranian counterparts who under international law are leading the inquiry. Our David Akin is looking at what specific questions the TSB will be asking. David?
That's right, Donna. 2 investigators from Canada's Transportation Safety Board, that's the TSB, they spent the day flying from Istanbul in Turkey to Iran's capital, Tehran. And on Tuesday, they will join the investigation team, the one led by Iran. Their mission is to find out not so much what happened, but how and why it happened.
So there's no doubt that this aircraft was brought down by a surface-to-air missile. That, I don't think anybody doubts. Certainly all the evidence suggests that. The issue about whether it was accidental or intentional, that is something that investigators would normally pursue.
The TSB has 4 priorities it wants the investigation to focus on. 1, establish the sequence of events. 2, identify the military procedures that led to the firing of that missile.
What were the sequence of events? What was the context that led somebody to make such a tragic mistake?
3, get Iran's Civilian Aviation Authority to explain why it did not close Iran's airspace when its military began attacking U.S. targets in Iraq that night. And 4, why were other airlines flying off the same runway both before and after Flight 752 was hit by a missile? Getting those answers will take time.
This is not going to be a short investigation, regardless of who leads it.
And David, we know Iran is leading it. The Prime Minister told me today he doesn't think there's a lot of reason to trust the Iranian regime. What is the TSB saying?
Well, Kathy Fox, she's the TSB chair there. She said she is, quote, cautiously optimistic.
Already we're seeing a willingness and an openness on the part of the Iranian AAIB to bring us closer in, to give us more access than we would normally have.
That could even amount to trusting Canada with the extraction and analysis of the black box data. But there is also a recognition that Iranian investigators could produce a report that could damn the Iranian government.
Clearly, some of these questions are going to be very uncomfortable for the country.
Now, the TSB believes that an investigation that is focused on safety and not focused on assigning blame, that's the best way to prevent such disasters from ever happening again, Donna.
Okay, David Akin in Ottawa, thank you. Experts from Ukraine are also on the ground in Iran, but Iranian investigators are still in possession of the Boeing 737 black boxes, and they're calling the shots on where those devices will be examined. Our Europe Bureau Chief Crystal Goomansingh is in Kyiv tonight. She spoke with Ukraine's Security and Defense Secretary about the investigation. Crystal?
Donna, a number of the experts deployed to the crash site in Tehran are on their way back to Kyiv. We're told that much of the initial investigation has now wrapped up. In the meantime, a senior Iranian official will be here tomorrow. A detailed eye is needed to inspect the mangled bits of metal. For several days now, Ukrainian experts have been sorting, tagging, and processing what's left of the Boeing 737. And there are still many questions about the black boxes.
I can tell you that the recorders are still in Iran. I can tell you that they are damaged, but I can't give you a complete assessment of the extent of the damage, because we haven't physically seen them, we've only seen photos.
The Secretary of National Security and Defense Council for Ukraine told Global News, we're waiting for a representative from Iran to arrive in Kyiv tomorrow. Then a decision will be made where the black boxes will be decoded. Now, Ukraine is insisting it be done in this country, but Iran gets to make the call. There is an ongoing effort to ensure cooperation between all affected countries. This week, foreign affairs ministers will gather in London to come up with the next steps. That includes compensation plans, and a united front is needed. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he wants justice and accountability for victims, although exactly what that means has not been identified. Ukraine has already organized an initial payment to help those affected. Oleksiy Danilov acknowledges the pain of Canadians. The Canadian side is asking us for assistance when it comes to the logistics of transporting the remains, he says. Ukraine is helping to repatriate the bodies for 17 families. The repatriation could happen relatively quickly. Ukrainian officials say the Iranians are respectful on that front. As for the officials who are returning from the crash site, we hope to hear from them tomorrow. Donna?
All right, Crystal Goomansingh in Ukraine tonight. Thanks.